Have you ever wondered if Bella and Mortimer's relationship was all peaches and cream? Did you wonder if there was something else going on in their marriage? Well, Alex plays Sims thinks they were divorced before she disappeared. But is it true? This topic is split into two parts because, do you see this?
Girl, bye!
This is part 1. I will link part 2 here when it's done. Good things take time, okay, besties? Love you. Hello everyone, and welcome to The Sims Lore. Today, we're looking at Bella Goth's romantic history, which incidentally, according to Alex Plays Sims' theory, matches up with what happened to her. The theory we're going off of is Alex's from this Tumblr post. I am not trying to debunk their theory by any means, but I am going to deep dive into the lore, which means some things will be debunked by default. So put your helmets on and get your snacks. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it. Alright, let's get straight into the drama. Before we get into the whole mystery, I wanted to give her a proper introduction and explain the chronology of the Sims series. To do this, I will start at the very beginning. Canonically, Bella is not introduced to us in the first Sims game, when she's an adult married to Mortimer Goth and taking care of their child Cassandra, but she's introduced when she was a child in The Sims 3. The Sims 3 events are recognized as the earliest throughout the chronology of the franchise. This explains Bella being a child, Bob and Betty Newby being teens, and pretty much everyone else being younger than the other Sims games. Well, for the most part, since there are some serious discrepancies. The first Sims game is set 25 years after The Sims 3 and 25 years before The Sims 2. This doesn't make sense for Bella, and this Tumblr user by the name of Alex explains it. But I'll get into that in a minute. So canonically, Bella starts out as a child in The Sims 3 who lives in Sunset Valley with her parents Jocasta and Simis and her older brother Michael. Looking at her bio, she's described as the best dressed girl in town. Her and Mortimer are best friends, and she doesn't seem to be having any other friends other than her family members. Their house is a 3-floor suburban home, just your average house. The Bachelors only have 3,000 simoleons in their household funds, but you can tell that they used to have more money at some stage. The house has everything they would need, with a great kitchen, living room, dining area, and a bathroom on the first floor. Bella and her parents have bedrooms on the second floor, and on the third floor is Michael's space, which uses up the entire floor. Lucky Michael. Interestingly, in Bella's bedroom, you can see she's well represented, as it is always said that she was a fan of the macabre, one of the many reasons she fits so well with Mortimer. There's also a little premonition node to her future self, a telescope which signifies her future disappearance as an adult sim. The family has a back garden where Jocasta is said to be spending her time gardening, as her bio says she enjoys this as a pastime. Then Bella has a little playground, which is safe to assume Michael also used whilst growing up. The family also have a little outdoor barbecue area and a garage with a For Everything van parked inside. The household's bio, as well as Simis' bio, describes the family to be as a tightly knit with well-behaved kids, and Simis is described as overseeing everything and being very strict. Simis in this case is described really well, since the bio fits his traits of neurotic, inappropriate, but kind, which is seen in his family-oriented trait. Bella's bio describes her as the best-dressed little girl you'll ever see. Always looking adorable, flitting around, and talking to other kids, adults, and anyone who will listen. Here, we know she's best friends with Mortimer, and it's hinted that they're supposed to end up together. Aw, that's so cute. Or not. Mortimer is also friends with Michael Bachelor, Bella's older brother. This is good to note, and I'll come back to this. Okay, so nothing unusual here other than seeing Bella be interested in astrology, which allegedly kills her in the future. Time to move on. See what I did there? Time? Okay, I'll show myself out. After the events of The Sims 3 and before The Sims 1, there are a few events that take place which are important for explaining Alex's theory. Firstly, we see Bella and Mortimer in Sims Busting Out. Here, Bella is a movie extra and Mortimer works as a virus breeder. It's sort of weird he looks much older than Bella, even though this is well before they have kids together. People speculate that it's due to stress that he has the grey hairs, and others say because of his scientific research, he got aged up by mistake, then spent his life trying to create the elixir of life. Okay, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Main thing here is that they're a couple and they seem happy enough. As well as this, after the Sims 3 events, Michael went to college. This is known because in the first Sims game, he can be found in the Sims bin, his bio stating that he's just starting out his life fresh out of college and he doesn't know what to do next. Which doesn't really make sense since no one spends 25 years in college.
Smack my ass like a drum.
We know a bunch of things happened in his life. Perhaps he didn't go to college straight away. All we know here is that he doesn't have a relationship with his sister Bella or Mortimer and Cassandra. Mainly, people speculate that this could be because in The Sims you didn't have family trees or the possibility of in-depth relationships. Others, like Alex, look at it in a different way. They say, Michael joins the science career track. One can assume the reason why he settled into domestic living years after Bella had done so was because he was at grad school. Because he was graduated from grad school, he gets a jump start in the career and climbs the ladder a lot faster than Mortimer does. I mean, yeah, but grad school and university would not have taken him 25 years to complete and would not have made him younger either. Maybe he developed the elixir of life himself in university and took it to revert his age. And Mortimer stole it? This doesn't really make sense. They go on to say, scientist Sims contribute an invention into the Sims world. Michael's invention was cloning technology, cloned himself, and a test subject, Skip, broke. Okay, so Alex is of the belief that Michael joined the science career and ended up cloning himself and Skip broke. Now, while there may be some information or speculation out there about this, I haven't found any in-game to suggest that this happened. I made sure it wasn't something buried deep inside the game files, so I did use SimP to find out what the heck is going on. SimP is a program that can be used to have a look inside the game files and character files of different Sims. I have absolutely no idea how to use it properly, but all I know is this. Download it from Mod The Sims, I'll leave a link in the description below. Unzip it, open the folder, double-click on SimP, let it load, go to Tools, Neighborhood, and Neighborhood Browser. Let it fully load, and then click on Sim Relations. Then click on the sim you want to find out more about. Here, you can see pretty much everything about that sim and change things you want, like add memories and more. However, you have to be very careful. If you don't do it correctly, you might completely ruin your game and even your system. And I have no idea how to do it correctly. There's a few tutorials online though. Anyway, I didn't find anything about Michael being a scientist. So, on the wiki, it said that this Michael Bachelor is the clone. However, I'm of the belief that this is the real Michael Bachelor, considering he's the one who has the interests. If this is true, it would mean the real Michael Bachelor hid himself and ran away from it all, leaving his clone to deal with his adult life, i.e. marrying Dina, dying, all of that stuff. Allegedly. Because the Michael who is married to Dina actually has relationships to Bella, Cassandra, Alexander, and his deceased parents, Simis and Jocasta. Interestingly, the alleged real Michael has lived less than the NPC who has no interests or ties to anyone. Meaning my theory is correct? I'm just confusing myself now, but I will have a video on this next to try and figure it all out. For now, we're focusing more on Bella. For the purposes of this video, we'll continue with the theory that Michael was a scientist and did in fact clone himself and Skip. There might be evidence to support this, which I will come back to in another video. Alex continues, even though he died before it happened, arrangements were made so Brandy could be the next test subject and the first female subject, and when you start Pleasant View for the first time, she is pregnant with her own clone. The baby is always born a boy. Michael's clones have a 100% rate of being male, genetic identicals to those they were cloned from, Brandy's just being a boy rather than a girl. And so far, 100% rate of dying at the same time as the original. They are genetically identical but wear different clothes. Okay, so the clones are not specific to Michael's. It's a fact that if you clone a sim, they become pregnant with the opposite gender. For example, I impregnated Cassandra with their clones. Cassandra had a baby boy. Technically, this means Michael could not have cloned himself or Skip the way we know of. He could have used a machine, or in the case of Alex's theory, his science skills, to maybe change the genders. Okay, next, Mortimer follows after Michael and invents the age reversal serum. Bella is the first test subject, and the day of her abduction, she takes the serum until she reverts back to being a brand new adult. Probably to allow herself to fit in her red dress as strikingly as she does. I don't think an elderly woman could pull that off. Okay, a couple of things here. I believe Bella disappeared shortly after this picture was taken, according to Cassandra's memories. She got into private school as a teen, and after Bella taught Alexander how to talk, she got abducted by aliens. Then Alexander grew up to a child. Interestingly though, Alexander doesn't remember Bella being abducted, but around that time he had a bladder accident. Honestly, probably from all the trauma. We also know Mortimer invents the elixir of life. The wiki says the name of its inventor is not mentioned, but it is widely believed that it may have been invented by Mortimer Goth. But by looking at this official interview with Bella Goth, conducted after her abduction, she says she remembers Mortimer working on an early prototype for the elixir of life. So why does the wiki say the inventor isn't known? Perhaps because of this Bella's credibility. And okay, look, the concept that Bella is a clone is not a new one. Made a video on this a couple years back, so you can click here if you're interested. One of my theories concluded that Bella is indeed a clone, and Alex is of the same belief here. If you believe otherwise, that's fine, but for the purposes of this video, Strangetown Bella is in fact not the real Bella, and she's a clone. We do find out that the real Bella is buried in Lunar Lakes before the release of The Sims 4. Sim guru Sarah answers a tweet on what happened to Bella with, "She traveled to Lunar Lakes and she's a ghost in the graveyard." Winky face. But I'll come back to all of this later. After Alex mentions Mortimer's elixir of life, they go on to list the next few events. Cassandra enters private school. Around this time, Gunther Goth dies. Bella, Mortimer, and Cassandra move out of their home and in with Cornelia to be with her in her last stages of life. How Alex knows this is unknown, but it's a good bit of speculation. Also good to mention that in Mortimer's memories, it looks as if there was a fire due to cooking, as we can see another memory for burnt pork chops. This was shortly after Cassandra grew up to be a child. A theory there is that he might have been responsible for the first fire, which ended up killing his father and burning down the kitchen in the original Goth house on 5 Sim Lane. Some people think that the entire house burned because in The Sims 2, we can see the original Goth house from The Sims was recreated for the purposes of these family pictures right here. Not too long after Alexander was born, Gunther died in the fire. It would make sense why the family then moved and rebuilt their home. Then Alex goes on to list the next event in the timeline. Michael marries Dina Caliente. It is speculated that because of the age gap, they only marry for Michael's money. But it is worth noting that Michael was Dina's first serious relationship, and she didn't begin to cheat on Michael with Dawn until years later, just before Michael died. Here, it's also worth noting the fact that even though she's a fortune sim, she should have gotten married a rich sim as a memory. However, it's suggested that she fell in love, and that's the only reason why they married. This is kind of weird, right? In my video from last week, you guys were saying how Mortimer is a knowledge sim, so the memory of Bella's abduction would never be negative. But here we can clearly see that the developers meddled with the memories just for the storyline. So, could it be something that was overlooked? Could it be a mistake? Or maybe it's nothing. Personally, I'm unsure where them getting married fits within the timeline, but it's safe to speculate that this is pretty accurate. Although based on Dina's memories, she met Michael when she was a teen, then later got married as an adult. If we go by the age gap, Michael must have been an adult when they first met. Ew. Then Alexander is born. I'm really unsure as to how Alex knows Michael got married before Alexander's birth, since the timeline of events itself doesn't really make sense based on the memories of the Sims that are alive and the family albums. For instance, in the family album there's this picture of Cassandra as a teenager, holding baby, not toddler, Alexander. This, according to Mortimer's memories, is not really possible since Cassandra was a child when Alexander was born. So really, we don't fully know when Michael got married. Although yes, looking closer, after Alexander was born, Cassandra didn't take long to grow up to a teen. Alexander then grew up right after Bella was abducted. Dina got engaged to Michael after Flamenco died. Considering Michael is an elder in the wedding picture, probably safe to assume this is before Bella got abducted since he's her older brother. Allegedly. Honestly, none of this makes sense. Alright, then shortly after Alexander's birth, Cornelia dies at the same time Michael does. Okay, the shortly here is actually incorrect. Cornelia dies after Cassandra grows up into an adult, as per the memories here. So it seems like if Cornelia and Michael died at the same time, it wasn't that long ago from the start of the game. Dina inherits Michael's estate and moves in with Nina. They then move to Pleasant View. It's not known where the Caliente sisters were before the start of the game, as it's theorized that they time traveled to Barnacle Bay, and they are much older and more experienced. Even in her bio it says, "Can Dina break hearts in Barnacle Bay like she did in Pleasant View? She wants to find out." Don follows them and moves the next day. Again, where was he before Pleasant View? Who's to know? Plus, he also time traveled, but to Riverview. Something about him remembering stepping into a teleporter, several women laughing, and waking up there. The accidental teleportation of Dawn is also highly speculated about. Bella goes to introduce herself to her new neighbor, Dawn. They get along, and Dawn gets the wrong idea and puts the move on Bella. Bella rejects him. He then runs off to be with Kaylin and is not there when Bella is abducted by aliens. I don't really know about this one, but it kinda makes sense. And just to add to this, we can see here that Dawn did get rejected for a kiss with Bella and swiftly afterwards made a move on her daughter Cassandra. Petty move? I don't know, possibly. After that, he runs off to be with Kaylin. He doesn't remember Bella being abducted, however, so he might not have heard about it, been there, or I don't know. However, this picture from the family album says something else. From this picture here, a lot has been speculated about Dawn. Everyone and their mother thought that Dawn was involved in Bella's disappearance when this picture kinda surfaced. But for now, let's go with this theory. Bella is never seen again, but shortly after her abduction, a UFO crash lands in Strangetown and reports that Bella is in Strangetown start rolling in. But spoiler alert, that's not the real Bella. I think what they mean by the UFO is this one right here. The theory was that maybe Bella fought them at some point and managed to crash their UFO, but not in her neighborhood, but in Strangetown, where aliens are more prominent. Then, after Bella's abduction, and before you start Pleasant View for the first time, the following happens. Mortimer and Dina hit it off rather fast, and marriage is definitely in the picture when the game first starts. Cassandra, Mortimer, and Alexander all age up at the same date, 2 days after Bella disappears. Cassandra goes to Don's house to find out what he knows about what happened to Bella, back squat since he wasn't there, and that's where they meet for the first time. Don tries to seduce her, probably not knowing who she is, and Cassandra, as much as you gotta love the girl, is naive as hell, and thinks she won the jackpot and falls for Don quickly. Okay, interesting. As I said before, looking at Don's memories, he kisses Cassandra pretty much immediately after Bella, which means he does nothing else of real significance to warrant a memory. To me, that's a bit sus. In the family album, it also shows how Cassandra and Don probably met. Looks as if she spotted him in a store while he was browsing for magazines. Again, let's go with this for now. After all of this, Alexander goes to private school. And while we all know that's Alexander's last memory, think again. In Sim P, there's an invisible memory which reads, "Made best friends with Bella Goth, gossip about Mortimer Goth." Excuse me, what? I do have a video on this if you'd like to see it. The general consensus between you guys was that you liked the theory posed in that video. Some of you did not. Ew, this makes no sense. This is a gossip memory and Mortimer is a knowledge sim. That's what you Okay, so some of you guys thought that I was reaching. But listen, how do you explain Alex coming back and writing murder in Pleasant View? Who else is he referring to? What murder? What is it then? I'll take a look at that too, maybe in another video, but we might delve deeper into this one right here. After Alexander goes to private school, Alex alleges that Mortimer retires, and Cassandra gets engaged the very day the game starts. Okay, so they're saying here that this is important because people like to speculate that Don had something to do with Bella's disappearance since he made the moves on Bella and him and Cassandra were engaged, so he didn't want to jeopardize that by having Bella tell anyone. Although when you do start the game and you play with the Goths, the house is already set up for a wedding. And the game kind of tells you to, get married. So I don't really know who gets engaged and married on the same day, but okay. Anyway, Alex says that this is not the case because Cassandra was still a teenager when Bella vanished. Don may be a ho, but he isn't a pedo. Chris Hansen doesn't need to be called for this one. They go on to say, another important thing to point out is that it's not known if Dina and Nina knew Bella. At least not well, since it can't be established if Michael and Bella had a relationship at all. Despite the fact that they were friends when they were younger, Mortimer has no memories of Michael, and neither do Cassandra or Alexander. They never met their uncle. Also, yes, Dina and Nina do have alien ancestry. Their father was a result of an alien abduction pregnancy. He was born human, so they're not part alien, which means they didn't order any aliens to go and kidnap anybody. Why would they? They don't know her. Not even normal alien sims do that, y'all are just racist. Okay, so I do have a video on Dina and Nina and their alien family. The thing is, whilst Dina and Nina are not aliens, nor is their dad, they still have aliens in their family. So that's pretty hard to ignore. I think all the clues about Dina and Nina were meant to be taken literally by the developers because they wanted us to believe that they had something to do with her abduction. But for the purposes of this theory, again, let's go with it and see where this goes. It's also worth noting that Mortimer is completely fine with Bella being gone. He's not heartbroken, and he isn't desperately trying to find her like the game tries to suggest. He's strangely cool about it. Why is Mortimer fine with Bella being gone? Because they are no longer married and haven't been since around the time Alexander was born. And that, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, is the biggest part that you all need to just remember. If you can only take one thing away from this part, take away the fact that they're divorced. It's super important. Okay, so this makes a lot of sense, somewhat. Some of you thought that this was reaching again. However, I can see where they're coming from. Not necessarily for the fact that their relationship shows no family ties between them, because I mean, you guys, if you died and came back, legally, you would not be married to your spouse. But it makes sense because their relationship is so low. Why would it be so low if they're portrayed to be this happily married couple? And yes, whilst the fact that Mortimer's positive memory of Bella's abduction is due to the fact that he's a knowledge sim, the relationship bar being that low still doesn't make much sense. When looking at her other relationships, she's in pretty good standing with her children. Even at that, why does nobody end up looking for her? If he was in such a good standing with Bella, why did good old Morty move on so very quickly onto Dina? Surely he knew about Michael and Dina. Surely he knew something. Anyways, that's what we'll be looking at in part 2, so hold on to your hats for next week. Hopefully you'll like this one. Alright guys, there you have it. Part 1 of unpacking Alex Plays Sims' theory about Bella's disappearance. What do you guys think? Do you reckon they were divorced? Stay tuned for part 2 and let me know your theories in the comments below. I'd like to thank my patrons Whitney Marion, Papa Khan, Negative Dana, Aurora Grimm, LeMay, ML, Alia Deshayas, Shelby Hill, Perlog Anwil, Amy Louise, Carolyn, Whitney, Keitajan the Arcane Archer, Nicole Dante, Artsy Flashback, and Nathan Lim. Thank you guys so much for supporting my channel. That's it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed it and let me know your theories in the comments below. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more lore and updates. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!